Recently, another significant news has emerged from China's textile and clothing industry. Dongguan Minghai Finishing and Dyeing Factory, a 30-year-old Hong Kong textile giant based in Dongguan, announced that due to financial difficulties, it would cease all business operations and all employees were released from their contracts on June 30th. According to public records, Dongguan Minghai Finishing and Dyeing Factory is under the umbrella of Hong Kong's Chapman Development. Established in April 1993 and launched in December 1995, it is an integrated enterprise specializing in textiles, dyeing, and garment processing, with an annual output exceeding 25,000 tons. The finishing fabrics and threads produced by the company are exported to Southeast Asia or processed into garments by its own factories for sale to Europe and the US. By 2003, it had already been ranked among China's top 50 textile export companies. Although closure of Chinese textile and clothing factories has become the norm in recent years, the downfall of such a powerful and comprehensive factory has sent shockwaves through the industry. Some suggest that this signals the end of an era in which China's garment processing industry held sway. Additionally, a multitude of veteran Hong Kong businesses have either withdrawn from the mainland or collapsed outright, seemingly marking the end of the era of Hong Kong investment in mainland China. These large Hong Kong-funded factories, mostly handling export foreign trade orders, also attest to the decline of China's foreign trade industry. The Pearl River Delta, dubbed as the world's factory, is witnessing poignant scenes of shrinking traditional foreign trade, factory closures, and worker unemployment. The disappearance of many old factories is a matter of regret for many in the industry, as their rise and fall mirror the fortunes of China's manufacturing and export sectors. Earlier this year, Dongguan's largest lingerie factory, Dongguan Go-Go Garment Manufacturing, announced its closure, resulting in over 1,700 unemployed workers. Records show that the company is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Hong Kong-based Clover Group International and was transformed into a Hong Kong-funded enterprise in 2011 from Dongguan Go-Go Garment Manufacturing, which was originally established in 1980. The company was mainly engaged in OEM, original equipment manufacture, and ODM, original design manufacturer, sectors, serving as a contract manufacturer for international high-end lingerie brands, holding a significant share in the European and American markets. The company, an essential partner for globally renowned high-end lingerie brands, annually produce tens of millions of pieces. An insider stated this factory, known as the Seed Factory, has been in operation for over 30 years. At its height, it employed nearly 10,000 workers and currently has more than 1,700. Dongguan Go-Go Garment Manufacturing has always enjoyed a solid reputation locally. According to its employees, the boss is from Hong Kong. The factory is very well run, observing a 2-day weekend system and operating strictly according to labor laws. They fully paid social insurance and housing fund contributions and even gave a small gold medal made of pure gold to employees who have worked for 15 years. The benefits and compensations far exceeded 80% of private companies in China. However, when the company collapsed, it struggled to resolve issues regarding severance payments and other legal rights for its thousands of employees. It is understood that representatives of the employees have negotiated with the boss 3 times without reaching a compensation agreement because the factory had no money left. Some even say the factory's equipment has already been relocated to Sri Lanka. These traditional labor-intensive companies have mostly shifted to Southeast Asia or Central America in recent years. The cost of labor in Southeast Asia is much lower than in China, where the demographic dividend has disappeared. Demographic dividend is the economic growth potential that can result from shifts in a population's age structure, mainly where the share of the working age population is larger than the non-working age share of the population. However, we all know that the disappearance of China's demographic dividend is just one reason for the shift in the industrial chain. The China-US trade war has acted like a catalyst, accelerating the exodus of these traditional manufacturing factories from China. Additionally, the impact of the pandemic, coupled with the Chinese government's zero-COVID policy, has delivered a lethal blow to these labor-intensive businesses. Take go-go garment manufacturing as an example. It experienced multiple lockdowns last year, preventing normal operations, yet had to continue paying wages, social security, and rent with no compensatory measures from the government. This placed the company in a difficult situation. In fact, it's not just go-go. The entire traditional manufacturing industry has virtually entered a phase of universal losses. Due to severe losses of consecutive years and immense difficulty in sustaining operations, some veteran Hong Kong enterprises, unable to keep afloat, had no choice but to declare a shutdown. In March 2022, Nanza International Stationery Factory in Humin Town, Dongguan, once a mega factory with products making up 60% of the global share, declared bankruptcy due to pandemic and mounting debts. In July 2022, Dongguan Cooper Electronics closed down. Once among the top 500 companies in Dongguan and a factory employing over 6,000 workers at its peak, it only had 1,000 employees left when it ceased operations. Also in July 2022, Dongguan Jingli Plastic Electronics, a toy factory that had been operating for more than 30 years, announced its closure. In early August 2022, a Hong Kong company, Kaishan Toys Co. in Dongguan, with a history of over 30 years, announced its closure and immediate dismissal of its employees due to lack of orders. On August 26, 2022, Dongguan Kaiwei Knitting Clothing Manufacturing, a veteran Hong Kong enterprise established in 1983, ended its existence with a 25-word closure notice. Kaiwei's knit products were 90% for export, and at its peak it had as many as 6,000 employees, but by the time of its closure only 600 employees remained. On August 30th, 2022, Elco Electronics Dongguan Limited, a veteran factory that had been operating for 36 years and employed over 20,000 people at its peak, declared bankruptcy due to the overwhelming debt. On August 31st, 2022, Dongguan Jieying Hardware Manufacturing ceased operations and shut down. Several other private companies also declared closure and gave their employees leave due to insufficient orders. Incomplete statistics show that more than 3,000 factories in Dongguan went bankrupt in just the first half of 2022, and this wave of closures continues, including many veteran Hong Kong enterprises. On June 1st this year, Fu Huaide Plastic Products Shenzhen Ltd, a major Hong Kong invested plastic factory that had operated in Shenzhen for 17 years, fully stopped production and entered into liquidation procedures due to operational difficulties. The story of Hong Kong businesses investing in mainland China dates back to 1978. That year, the third plenary session of the 11th CPC Central Committee was held, generally regarded as the starting point of China's reform and opening up. At that time, China's GDP was only 364.5 billion yuan, with 700 million people living below the absolute poverty line. This can be seen as the greatest advantage of the demographic dividend, as people's needs were merely about securing food and clothing. At that time, the cost of labor in Hong Kong was gradually rising. Taiwan and South Korea, with their relatively low cost, took a large amount of orders. To break this stalemate, it was necessary to establish factories in areas with lower labor costs to reduce production costs. This was when the Chinese government initiated its reform and opening up policy and introduced a series of measures to attract foreign investment. Combined with low labor costs, this was highly attractive to Hong Kong's manufacturing industry. The Pearl River Delta region was the starting point of China's reform and opening up. The cities of Shenzhen, Zhuhai, and Shantou within the regions were listed as the first batch of special economic zones in 1979, enjoying unique tax benefits. Their geographical proximity to Hong Kong, coupled with similarities in local language and customs, made them Hong Kong's largest partners. A large number of Hong Kong businesses flocked to these areas, sparking a wave of investment and factory establishment on the mainland. Hong Kong invested enterprises in the Pearl River Delta have a diversified industrial structure, with electronics, traditional industries such as textiles, clothing, toys, and supporting industries such as metal manufacturing, plastics, mold, paper printing as the three main axes. It not only ignited the entry of a large number of Taiwanese businesses, but also attracted a significant number of foreign businesses from Europe, America, South Korea, and Japan. In that era, the Pearl River Delta provided the world with a wealth of inexpensive goods, laying the foundation for China's economic takeoff and earning it the title of the World Factory. These Hong Kong-funded enterprises not only provided a significant amount of capital, technology, and advanced management experience for China's economic development, but they also boosted the development and prosperity of China's export trade, as most of their products were exported. According to data released by China's Ministry of Commerce, Hong Kong has been the largest source of direct investment in the mainland since the reform and opening up. By the end of 2021, Hong Kong's cumulative actual investments in the mainland amounted to USD 1.43 trillion, accounting for 57.5% of the total foreign investment attracted by the mainland. With the passage of time, Hong Kong-funded enterprises' investment in the Pearl River Delta's manufacturing sector has also gone through several different stages. From 1980 to 2000, Hong Kong-funded enterprises were in a continuous upward trend of investment in the Pearl River Delta, contributing to the explosive growth of Hong Kong's industrial sector during this period. After 2001, with China's labor shortage becoming increasingly evident and wages continuously rising, the pace of investment by Hong Kong-funded enterprises in the Pearl River Delta slowed down. The global financial crisis in 2008, in particular, caused a contraction in the European and American export markets that Hong Kong businesses had always relied on. Coupled with China's adjustments of economic policies and demands for industrial transformation and upgrading, these changes brought heavy blows to the predominantly export-oriented Hong Kong-funded enterprises. Sui Ping Kwang, the vice chairman of the Chinese Manufacturers Association of Hong Kong, once stated that many Hong Kong-funded enterprises in the Pearl River Delta were traditional manufacturing businesses with limited profit growth opportunities. As such, many decided to shift operations to Southeast Asia, using Dongguan as an example. He believed that by 2008, over half of Hong Kong enterprises had withdrawn from the area. According to a research report by the Federation of Hong Kong Industries, 2007 was the peak year for Hong Kong-funded enterprises investing in the mainland, accounting for 72% of all foreign enterprises in the Pearl River Delta. Half of the manufacturing enterprises in the region were Hong Kong-funded or involved Hong Kong investment, collectively establishing about 57,000 factories. However, the number of Hong Kong-funded manufacturing enterprises fell rapidly from its peak in 2007. Before 2008, Hong Kong-funded enterprises generally relocated to other cities in Dongguan province or other provinces in China. After 2010, many moved to Southeast Asian countries with a more abundant supply of cheap labor, with a small number even returning to Hong Kong. This indicates that the manufacturing industry in the Pearl River Delta had already started to decline by 2010. For instance, a Hong Kong-funded hat manufacturing enterprise that had factories in Longgang, Shenzhen, and Panyu, Guangzhou, closed its Guangzhou factory and gradually transferred 60 to 70% of its production lines to Bangladesh. Aside from Bangladesh, other Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam and Myanmar also became favored destinations for Hong Kong-funded enterprises. By 2015, many factories in processing and manufacturing industries in places like Dongguan and Shenzhen could not continue operating due to loss of orders, leading to the closure of numerous electronics enterprises. Dongguan experienced a new wave of factory closure. While rising labor costs were certainly a factor in Hong Kong businesses moving abroad, The most troubling issue for Hong Kong-funded enterprises in the Pearl River Delta was the myriad of taxes and high tax rates in China, resulting in heavy burdens for businesses. According to statistics, businesses had to pay up 25 different types of taxes each year. Of course, the corruption of Chinese officials who demanded bribes from businesses also led to high additional operational cost. By 2018, the US-China trade war had begun, dealing a fatal blow to these predominantly export-oriented Hong Kong enterprises. Take the textile and clothing industry, where Hong Kong businesses are heavily involved. As an example, over the past 20 years, the United States has been the single largest market for Chinese imports of textiles and clothing. In 2017, Chinese textiles SITC 65 and clothing SITC 84 exports to the United States accounted for 11.2% and 21% of total exports, respectively. As traditional industries where China has had a competitive advantage, textiles and clothing realized a trade surplus of $244.05 billion in 2017, accounting for 57.8% of China's total trade surplus. In 2018, the United States began imposing a 25% tariff on finished clothing imported from China, causing many internationally renowned clothing brands to cancel their orders in China and turn to Southeast Asian countries instead. The loss of foreign trade orders in clothing processing factories also impacted upstream textile and dyeing enterprises, making survival challenging across the industry. In the outbreak of the pandemic in 2019 dealt another blow to these enterprises, particularly in 2022. While other countries had largely returned to normal production, the Chinese government continued to enforce a strict zero-COVID policy. As a result of numerous lockdowns, these enterprises suffered substantial losses. There was hope that business conditions would improve after the lifting of restrictions in 2023, but the year turned out to be more challenging than expected. With the restructuring of global supply chains and the accelerated withdrawal of many foreign enterprises, China foreign trade processing enterprises experienced an unprecedented order drought. Those factories that managed to survive post-pandemic bore the brunt of the disease but couldn't withstand the severe impact of the order drain, leading to widespread closure or relocations. Of course, Hong Kong businesses were no exception, and hence we've seen so many well-established Hong Kong enterprises go under since last year. The closures or withdrawals of these traditional Hong Kong-funded enterprises present a stark contrast to the massive investments made by Hong Kong businesses in mainland China in the past. It also symbolizes the declining state of the Chinese economy. With its erstwhile prosperity now a thing of the past, it appears that China's era has come to an end.